Hi everyone, I'm Cullen Haynes from Legal Home Loans. Welcome to another episode of the Eventus series, and as always, we are joined with the incomparable Tom Nesci from Cribs, founder. How are you, sir?
Good, mate. Good to be here.
Thanks for coming on, my friend, as always. Wanted to open it up. The recent results in the market. I wanted you to get some comments on what's been happening for viewers at home and on LinkedIn.
Okay, so there's been lots of recent results.
Yes.
So a few. Let's just start with clearance rates. So clearance rates they're basically pretty stable around that high 70s to 80%, particularly in the Sydney, Melbourne markets. That's the clearance rate for people going to auction. There's like a 70 to 80% chance of you selling your property. What we did notice this past weekend was a massive decline in the amount of supply. That they call it basically because of the Melbourne Cup. A lot of people kind of weren't putting their properties up. They were more interested in going to the Melbourne Cup and doing that kind of stuff. Yeah, that's exactly right. So there was a decrease in the amount of supply that came onto the market. Recent results with HIA, so that's the Housing Society basically, they recently came out and said that there's been an increase in the amount of supply coming back onto the market. Good. But that's off like a 40% decrease. So it's like about a 16 to 17% increase off a 40% decrease. Okay. That's from the all-time high in like 2015-16. So we're basically building at a rate that is still short of where we need to be building in order to meet up with the pent-up demand that will come in the next couple of years. So what's interesting about this supply decrease is we're not going to feel the effects of that for the next sort of 18 to 24 months.
Yes.
And the fact that it has been decreasing for the past couple of quarters means that I think we're going to see a pent-up supply issue, particularly for properties under the median sale price. So that's stuff that's under $800,000, where the highest amount of affordability is. There's going to be, I think, a supply shortage in sort of past 2021.
Okay.
On the performance of property, I'll talk more specifically about the Sydney and Melbourne markets because they have been the top performers and the majority of clients are in those markets. Yes. So I know that you work with people in Brisbane. We've seen about a 5% increase in the Sydney market, and Moody's reports, for anyone that follows Moody's, they basically rate different investment markets. They've estimated there's going to be about a 7 to 7.88% increase across houses and units in the Sydney market over 2020.
Over 2020, okay.
So that is a bit of a summary of it all, and it's really pointing to a positive market. It feels like to me that we've come out of a bit of a slump, and it's causing me a little bit of anxiety, Cullen.
Yes, it is. I can feel it. Have we got out of the bottom, do you think? What are we going to see over the next 12 months?
I think we've come out of the bottom, and I think that we're going to have a really positive 12 months. And it just means that anyone that's sort of sitting on their hands and have been thinking about buying property, get in. You're going to miss the boat.
Well, I love that message because we did this talk with Jerome DeRosmo. Shout out to him from the Lawyers Weekly about why do lawyers in particular wait so long to get into property. And there's a lot of risk that goes into it and they weigh their options up. But you're of the mind that you need to get in.
Yeah.
I'd love to get your comment. And why do you think people wait so long?
So I think a lot of people wait because of predominantly, let's just say affordability first.
Okay.
They may think that they need to get a bigger deposit than necessary to avoid their LMI and they're waiting
mortgage insurance.
Yeah, they're waiting to get a 20% deposit when in actual fact they can get in with a 5 or 10% deposit.
Correct.
I also think that there's a lot of fear and anxiety around what the market's doing. The fact that they might not think that they can afford to buy it in the areas that they feel comfortable in. There was a report that came out, I think it was done by Sydney University or something. I'll have to double check and quote it in the notes.
The show notes, yep.
The show notes. But they said that 2 out of 3 people are investing in their own backyard. And fundamentally that's more likely than not the incorrect investment strategy. And also for anyone that's grown up in a now affluent area,
yes,
it's extremely difficult for them to get into those markets. So investing in your own backyard is a to their detriment because they're waiting a long time to get into the market.
Yes.
They're trying to save a big deposit to try and get in. And what that's doing is it's slowing up their ability to get into the market. Let's just extrapolate that on that a little bit, on that thought. Say you're waiting to save that $100,000 deposit and it's taking you, you're saving $10,000 or $20,000 a year.
Yep.
That's, 5 or even 10 years that you're waiting.
The average is 12 years if you're renting in Sydney to save
your deposit.
Yep.
If you're getting your 10% deposit, you're halving the amount of time
Correct.
you're waiting to get into the market. And if you were to go and buy that $500,000 property today and the market moves by 10%, you've made $50,000.
Correct. If you're getting now.
If you're getting in now.
Yeah.
And you're watching what Moody's is saying, you're watching what the market is doing. Rather than saving your way to $50,000 or $100,000, go and invest your way there. And it's just a much more sophisticated and prudent strategy for you to grow your wealth faster.
Correct.
And because we have seen that, I think largely the worst is behind us, outside of any black swan events, get moving. Get moving. I'm telling everyone around me, get moving. Connie, get moving. We have to keep on
come
investing.
on, Connie, get moving. And there obviously are ways to do it. You can get a gift or you can use a guarantee, and there are products for owner-occupied properties where you can get up to 100% no LMI, which is fantastic. What are other things that people can use to get in early, or what's one mistake do you think people are making other than delaying?
Well, I think another mistake is people are getting caught up in the media hype.
Yes, buying into the fear-mongering and the false propaganda going out there.
And I do love that Warren Buffett quote where when people are, greedy, be fearful, walk away, and when people are fearful, be greedy and get in.
Get in.
A lot of people around us, when they see that, the Black Friday sales come about, everyone goes running and shopping.
Woo!
Yeah. But, when there's Black Friday sales in property, people are scared and they run away. People get caught up in the media hype where they're scared to buy brand new property or scared to buy property in general, when it is a good strategy for people, one, to get into the market. And if you can't necessarily afford to get into the market today, have a look at what options are available to you. For instance, there are developers out there that if you put in 5%, they'll allow you to then save an additional 5% while it's under construction. Or you have the ability to enter a market today and not pay for the remainder of that property's value until 24 months into the future. So there's all these strategies out there that people are kind of being blindsided by because they're getting caught up in fire-rated cladding, or they're getting caught up in Opal Towers and whatever else. So I think, fair enough, you should go into the market eyes wide open, but don't get caught up in all the fear.
Okay. Well, what's some great news that we need to hear? What are some good opportunities that have come about, recent announcements that we want to share?
Yes. They came out with recent designs for the airport.
Fantastic.
Second airport. That's pretty cool. So the second airport.
Come fly with me.
Yeah. So we've heard some recent. We've seen that it's coming around, and the reports are all positive. They've assigned Cox Architects, and I think it's Zaha Hadid, the other architect, international architects. They're a really, really good firm.
Prominent name.
Huge firm, and the designs look absolutely amazing. I believe it's Lend-Lease have already started construction on roads and infrastructure all around that area. So that western precinct is it's well and truly happening.
Fantastic.
And then the government recently came out with, in New South Wales, they're fast tracking the Metro West line.
Amazing.
So anyone paying attention, and this is really good for you because you live in
Wentworth Point. Come and find me. Show me down. If anyone wants to find out where that crazy guy from LinkedIn lives, there you go.
Wentworth Point. So that whole western suburbs, that Parramatta River precinct, they got that brand new. They're progressing stage 2 of the light rail, but then they've also got the fast tracking of the Metro West. And I think that they're 2 major pieces of infrastructure, or 3 major pieces of infrastructure that will impact property prices going into the future.
That's fantastic news, Dom. And on the credit side, obviously, time has passed since the Royal Commission and common sense is coming back to the banks. What we are seeing is Westpac are about to announce a ease up on their servicing calculator. So they're making some changes to make it to boost people's borrowing. So if they can only borrow $1 million right now, with their changes, potentially 1.1.
What kind of changes?
So it's just the way they assess household expenses. At the moment, they're being very conservative. And what they do is, so if you're single and you have no dependents, you've got a certain level of borrowing. But as soon as you say you've got 2 dependents and you're in a de facto relationship, automatically your expenses go up. They're making some tweaks to that to make it a little bit more sensible and thus give you a little bit further in your borrowing capacity. Because what we were finding post-Royal Commission, you try to refinance someone with an existing loan and you take them back either to their same bank or another bank, they technically didn't service on the debt that they had just because they changed the way they assessed it, which is quite frustrating. But now we look at those same loans and they actually service now just because the banks are changing the way they look at it, which is much needed because obviously the tightening credit policies were having a flow-on effect to obviously the property market because there's less people getting approved and obviously less prospects able to buy homes. Other positive changes are obviously we're partnered with the Law Society, so we've got some exclusive benefits there for members, for the 30,000 members in New South Wales, so that's a big change. And for barristers that have their chambers secured against their home, so where they do their place of business. We've got one of our lending partners that is doing a 3.75 rate on business lending, so that would include chambers. So a lot of positive news for all levels of law out there at the moment.
Yeah, you guys have been really busy recently.
we have. In the lead up to Christmas, it's amazing.
Is it because of just some of the changes you've had, or is it because you've got new products available, or what's?
It's a number of things. It's obviously, now we've been around 18 to 24 months, a lot of trust. We've forged some very deep relationships with some of the most prominent institutions in law, such as the Law Society in New South Wales. And shout out to Georgette McHale and Eden Casita from the Law Society. They've been fantastic. But also, too, we have aligned with some new products that have come out into the market. So we've obviously got the 100% product we offer and the 97% product. So that serves its purpose. If you don't have access to a deposit and you don't have access to a parental guarantor, but you don't want to pay LMI on an owner-occupied property, you can potentially borrow up to 100%, up to a $1.3 million property. Don't necessarily have to be a lawyer, you just have to have a university degree and working in your profession for 3 years. Everyone's rubbing their heads. Yeah, yes, I do. Yes, I do. I'm going to come and talk to that man.
Do some math now.
Yeah, but look, and it goes right back to what you said about, sure, it's a little bit more expensive doing it this way, and it is. The product is expensive because you're not paying LMI. However, it gets you into the market now. I can't tell you the number of clients I've spoken to and said, you can either borrow 90%, but you're going to have to wait 18 months to borrow to save up, or we've got this product here. It's available for you. And they ruminate for 1 or 2 weeks, they get approval with it, and then they find something right away. Because you know what? Once they've got the opportunity open, the world opens and they're like, I can actually afford that now, and I can actually do that. So,
you know what's nuts? Talking to your team as well, I've noticed that you're getting almost preferential treatment with the major banks.
Well, we've been
picking up your phone and you're asking for things and they're responding.
Yeah, they're responding. We had a meeting with one of our major lending partners yesterday, and we've got another one on Wednesday, and they're actually coming to us and saying we're reforming our credit policies and our processes. As one of our elite brokers or leading brokers that are sending us a lot of business, we want to know, what do you want to see to make it more streamlined for your legal clients in particular? And it's great to have that feedback to, the banks there's a lot of bank bashing out there and people, complaining about these big faceless entities, but they do want to do, it's all about outcomes, and they want to get good outcomes for our clients. So it's great when they can actually send their people out to us and say, hey, you guys are at the pointy end, what do you want to see? And those changes will come about in the next 6 to 12 months, which will be very, very compelling for legal professionals in particular, and the lending process in general, because it's all moving digital. Make it easier to buy that next dream.
Well, if any of you out there want to help with your property investments, come and chat to me.
Come and chat to this man, incomparable. All right, everyone. Thanks for joining us for another episode of the Eventus series, bringing you the latest in market news. Take care. Hey, well done.
Finito.